Hello, my name is Kieran Flake, and this is my audition process video for the Properties Fabrication Specialist over at Swaybox Studios. So, I figured we would start with the final piece, just so that you guys could see what we ended up doing. So there's the front. There's that right side. There is the back. There's the left side. We got the bottom, straight on, and then up top. Yeah, and that's kind of the little guy I ended up making. So, how did we start? Oftentimes when I'm working on a commission, or if somebody is asking me to make something, etc., and I'm using a reference photo, first and foremost, I look at the reference photo because that is going to give me probably the most information. And then two, I will ask pertinent questions. But you guys gave me some very good answers. You guys said we want something that feels like hand-drawn. We want something that's got wonkiness. We want something that has some line weight, tactileness. Obviously, this is not finished as requested. I would probably, in the process of painting this piece, I may sharpen some of these edges a little bit more so it matches this a little bit better. But for the most part, this entire thing is free-handed. I would consider this version 1. This is probably going to be version 2 when I get around to making it. Now, because we didn't have any other information on size, I looked at the reference and it reminded me of boilers or engines or some kind of wibbly wobbly wonky little thing. But really the amount of vents I am seeing and the piping kind of told me boiler or engine, right? So I broke it down into pieces. There are 7 planes, with this guy right here being a circle, this guy being a circle. We have the nuts and bolts, but pretty much everything else is going to be straight lines. I made the executive decision to put another little grate on this side. Probably I would ask for a 360 if we were gonna postulate this further along the line to like version 2, version 3. Really, ultimately, what decided my scale was this guy. So this is the center little cardboard cardstock of a dog bag roll. I didn't want to hand make this. So I said, what is the hardest thing on this, right? Straight lines, not so bad. This is probably not going to be so hard. That may be a problem, but it really depends on how far this angle is going to go. This is going to be the problem because we are using cardboard. So I found this guy, and the scale basically was chosen from this guy, right? Because I felt like I could build off of this and we could do some funky stuff with this. The foundation, if you look at the reference photos that I put in my little portfolio that I sent you guys, it kind of started out like this, right? With a really thick cardboard base with a brace in the center, mostly to support this little arch curve thing that is referenced here. And then I kind of built everything off of that. So once I had this side, the base, and the top built out, I worked on the back, worked on the feet, and worked on this little guy. This was probably the hardest part, mostly because this has a very dramatic turn up, and this is a very dramatic turn down. This has a little bit of a turn up, and this definitely has a turn down. And I knew that I wanted this to stick out. This felt like it torqued a little bit, so we ended up getting this guy who, if you can see there, yeah, that shows it. So I thought this really sticks out. That may sit back a little bit, and then everything kind of turns and warps. So once I had a similar kind of setup right here. I then built the little grate guy, similar to this, where it's just two very thin pieces of wood, cardboard. And then I built my little slats, and then I kind of did rinse and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for edges, especially right here and right here, right, because these were separate pieces that I kind of wanted to bind, I paper mache'd the whole thing, except for these guys and the little nuts. But in a perfect world, I would probably maybe dip these so that they had slightly smoother edges, just so they kind of match this a little bit more. And also in a perfect world, I would have done a second layer here, and so that it would be similar to this or this, where it just kind of inset versus me having to go back and like kind of shove it in. But this, these, and the base right here were all paper mache'd. This was paper mache'd, this was paper mache'd after. So we paper mache'd the base, then paper mache'd the external pieces that were attached, and then these guys were left kind of to their own devices. When it came to the little tiny details, I really liked the idea of little hand-drawn little nuts and bolts. So I just kind of took a little square and just started snipping until I kind of got a shape that I liked. This doesn't really have, like, I would say, like an exact amount. Some of these dots are smaller than the others, and so I just kind of free-handed how many dots. These little guys are tiny little bits of these little guys. Waste not, want not. So everything kind of like whatever bits I cut here, I then use the other half to kind of make the inversion here. Same with this. Whatever I cut here, I ended up kind of mimicking up top and then trimming it down a little bit. Overall, I think this just needs like a really good sand, maybe some like touch up. I'd probably want to do some filler in some areas. I might want to sharpen some of the edges before paint, but for the most part, I like the way it turned out. He's a little shorter than the reference, and he's a little wider than the reference, but for freehand, I think he did great. And I made a version 2. So I went back after I made this guy and was like, well, if I was going to make him again, what would I do? So I made myself a little template that matched the proportions just slightly better. And then I'm working on a second version. Same guy, different body. With the cutout this time, I'm just going to fill this in and do something fun, maybe. I'm not sure. I might actually make him steam. Who knows? Waterproof the inside. Anywho, again, my name is Kieran Flake. And I look forward to speaking with you guys. Thanks.